Go. All right, go ahead, man.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the second episode of Finance and Vibe with my guys OC, Ife, the moneymaker. You know what's up. How's you guys' week though?
Chilling, bro. Can't
Chilling, chilling.
complain.
The week
What's
was
up,
all
Joe?
right,
What's happening?
it was, here and there. I went out a little bit, crazy
Yeah,
week in Atlanta.
now you know. Were you making moves in the
How's the
market
West
this week?
Coast?
I really wasn't doing anything. There was a little, I don't know. I had like, it was a choppy week, so I had three green days, two red days. So I
All
wasn't
right,
really
all
looking for
right.
anything.
What about you, OC? No moves.
My Bitcoin stocks are just swing. I'm just swing trading, so my Bitcoin stocks moved this week, so it's not bad. It's pretty good.
All right.
I'm waiting for them
Uh,
to pulse rally. So, but yeah, it's been good, man. It's been good. I can't complain. The past 2 weeks have been pretty good with them just consolidating and holding firm.
that's what's up. That's what's up. We just want to say thank you for like the first episode. We didn't expect the feedback from everybody. We got more fire content coming, more vibes, more laughter. Um, Today we'll be talking about a brand new topic. Take this away. Like, let's know what's up.
So basically, this week we're going to talk about social media entrepreneurship and LLC Twitter, and more specifically, debunking some of the myths, some of the rumors, and some of the facts about each. Like for instance, social media entrepreneurship and LLC Twitter has made you feel like, oh, you can't do certain things to become a successful person, or you gotta the grind is 24 hours, which I understand, but like some people are making a business through passive income, and I also like wanted to see what are your thoughts and opinions on how social media ship has like shaped entrepreneurship today.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So again, I'm gonna make the distinction between like social media entrepreneurs because I feel like when I hear social media entrepreneurs, I just think of like social media marketers and people who leverage social media to generate income, and I think that's respectable. And then ultimately, but when I hear about LLC Twitter, I'm thinking those, of course, who feel like there's only a certain template to be successful, and if you're not following this template, you're not. And of course, I think that's very narrow-minded. I'm big on passive income. I'm big on making money while I rest. I feel like if I cannot automate any business, it's not attractive to me because ultimately the biggest thing we can have, or most valuable thing we can have is our time. So for sure, we can talk about LLC Twitter in details and how it's like grind, don't sleep. And I know it's easy to fall into that mindset because that's something that is an unhealthy thing that social media has began to, especially Twitter, has began to like promote. And of course, everybody's somebody on Twitter, right? Everybody's an entrepreneur on Twitter, so everybody feels like they have an opinion. And people dog on people who have 9 to 5 without realizing there's different levels of 9 to 5. There are those investment
All right.
bankers, of course, who are working all the time, but they're making bread, and there are people who are like IT making six figures as well, but they're barely working. So I feel like 9 to 5 has its own skills, of course, and
Mhm.
you just find success how you find it for sure.
Um, in my, I would take it to through the angle of when I don't like when they talk about like companies when companies sell, especially like black companies and like black owners, and they sell because of certain reasons. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, you're sellouts, you're this, you're that. But like in my mindset, like I always think like if you start a business or like you're an entrepreneur, you should always have like an exit strategy. You get what I'm saying? And you should always want to sell. And like over I was 2 weeks or last week when Versus sold to Triller. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
And this the guy from Power, what's the little guy's name? The the crazy kid from Power.
Oh, I hate the guy. I don't hate him. I hate the guy in the show. I'm
Yeah,
just
so
trying
he
to.
went out when Sweet Beats and Timberland sold to Triller, like they exited like the thing, right? Basically they were going off like, yo, this guy's a sellout and stuff like that. But like guys think they know everything about like business and what you should do with your business. Similarly to what Jay-Z did with Tidal and like his Ace of Spades. And guys are like he's selling out and things like that. In my personal opinion, I always think like if you're not like if there's competition and you're not like controlling like the market share of whatever you're doing, like at some point you have to like to exit, you have to sell. And
Right.
I love poker, right? And I think to play like this game to make more money, you need chips. You get what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
to get the chips, you need money. Like the chips is money to play in this game of like keep building wealth and stuff like that. And when guys say you can't sell, at some point you get to a point where your business can't grow because of distribution, because of certain things anymore. And you need to like branch out. You get what I'm saying? But I don't think guys on Twitter or social media understand that. They just like, we want our own cake, we want this. Yeah. I understand like the sentiment, but like you sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. That's my
I
take on
feel that.
that.
I
So,
feel that.
yeah.
Like my own is like, so you go on Instagram every day and there's someone trying to sell you a course, someone trying to tell you, oh, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, I'm getting tired of it. Like you swipe through a couple, I don't even know how Instagram works again, but you see somebody really like, oh, I just made 5K from wholesaling. I'm like, so you want me to pay you for your host? I don't even like, what is your rep? What have you done?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's why, social media marketing is becoming it was very, like those who capitalized on it early, pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, like definitely made bread. But now it's becoming very ineffective because we're like, I feel like we're overloaded with these things every day to the point where it's not as effective as it used to be. Like the best type of marketing now is the organic one, word of mouth. Someone says, hey, listen, y'all got to check this out, which is like really goes back to building brand loyalty. So I agree. I mean, I think that there's some legitimate ones. There are ones that like definitely know what they're talking about, know their stuff, been in it in years. They're giving you a good bang for your buck type situation. But unfortunately, because the market has been flooded with everybody selling, especially like I'm looking at the investing space, everybody's selling a course in investing, even though they just started investing 2 years ago, So like,
There's so many
it's
Instagram
like,
pages.
damn, like how do I separate the legitimate ones from the non-legitimate ones? And that becomes like a huge dilemma. And so, I think ultimately when you just to navigate that, it's just difficult now. And you just need some level of discernment there.
yeah, I feel
Yeah.
that. Like another thing that used to get me, like, especially with like LLC Twitter, because like we're making the distinctions, like somebody's telling me that, oh, don't go to school because if you go to school, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. I'm like, bro, if I need capital to start something, I can go to school, get a degree that pays me what 70, 80, 90, 100K versus I'm not trying to talk about anybody's job, so I'm not going to mention things specific, but versus something that pays me $10 an hour, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Does that make me I don't know, that makes me stupid? Like
Right.
there's something that Gary Vee said that I don't honestly agree with, and I think that somebody, I don't know who said it, but he was like, oh, why are you going to school? Go to like a yard sale, pick up a few things and go reflip it. And somebody was like, you use your time, use 4 hours to go to a yard sale to pick up some things and your profit was only $10. Then get a job, right? Like certain
Yeah.
things, like
Yeah.
there's certain choices, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Ife. When it comes to, I was on a Zoom call with like all my classmates from high school, like 2 weeks ago, and we got into this topic about is school still important and to start a business and all that stuff. And my take was school is not. I don't think school is for. Obviously, there's a part of it that's for the education and stuff like that, right? But I think school is more for, it's like a honeypot, like where you build connections and like if you think about most of these businesses, right, except like the anomalies and those that were like crazy unicorns and stuff like that, most of them like their founding partners and like CEOs, they come from like the same. You get what I'm saying? They're from the same school. They're from the same place. So it's like a honeypot to me, like where you can meet people that are like you build trust over years. Then you're just saying I'm going to a yard sale and I'm just hustling it out. I get that part too. I'm not like bashing that point of view. There's another way to do it, so you don't have to go into depth and all that stuff. But I'm big on the school thing. You get what I'm saying?
So even taking that away, let's even go to the fundamental level. So it's been proven, and the statistics behind this, the more education you attain, the more income over the span of your life that you tend to have and you tend to make, right? So obviously there's certain people that are so driven. So when I hear Gary Vee, and I have a lot of respect for him, but obviously he strikes me as a driven guy. He talks about his immigrant past and how being the child of an immigrant has impacted him.
Yeah.
There are definitely those that I'll say that they're definitely driven. So even if I can look at certain people and be like, okay, whether they went to school or not, I can definitely see them making it regardless because of just that drive that they have in them, that passion to learn, to seek education. Also, school doesn't necessarily have to be formal in the sense of you could go there are people who spent the whole of last year in the pandemic going on Udemy, getting certifications, not within a formal setting to become software engineers, right? So let's even remove school. Let's just talk about education first. So, but for the average person, so not everyone is that driven. Not everyone has that drive. For the average person, if you don't go to school, you typically be worse off than if you did. And people always dog on degrees, bachelor's degree and going your degree. And I mean, ultimately, I'm a big believer and this might sound controversial, like for your bachelor's, don't pursue where your passion is if it doesn't make you money. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
Now you can absolutely pursue even if I have this passion for arts, and let's say I look at the statistics and I see, okay, only 5% of artists make six figures. I'm just throwing out a wild number. The first thing I'll probably say, okay, maybe I shouldn't pursue anything in arts, my bachelor's. However, I can pursue a degree that I know will pay me well. And then ultimately, when it comes to like either my master's degree or trade school or something I can do on the side, knowing that I have that firm foundation to fall on. It's the same thing I did with myself. I studied chemical engineering in my undergrad. I'm not passionate about chemical engineering. I had other passions. But I saw, hey, listen, average chemical engineering salary in the US was 85, 90,000 US dollars. I could graduate school making starting salary close to six figures, and in a few years break to six figures. And I've now pivoted to data science, which is another high paying field. But I also have my passions, which I'm pursuing on the side, right? Real estate, finance, investing, other things. If I say I want to go to school to study investing, I don't even need to go to school for that, right? So my whole thing is, with education, of course, if you're going to go to school and study U.S. history, don't be surprised if you come out making 40,000. I believe strongly, and this might, again, another controversial thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to go study something, that starting salary is 40, because there's some degrees that the starting salary coming out of college is 40 grand. Don't waste your time. Just go be a data scientist. Go do something else. Why would you go to school for 4 years to come out making 40 grand? It makes no sense to me, So I'll say ultimately people need to be practical. Treat it like a business because you're paying money for tuition. Even if you're on scholarship, you need to understand, okay, this is the cost of my education. Even if you're on scholarship, understand this is the cost of my education. What is the return on investment on my education? And if the numbers don't check out, pursue a different degree. And then for higher degrees, like your master's and other things post-bachelor's, you can start pursuing things that are more focused on your passion and dialed in. That's my opinion.
Well, I feel that, personally, I like what you said because I have a professor, right? Or I had a professor because I already graduated. So he's a rich man, he's doing this thing, he's collected $365K from the Georgia State University system. So I was like, okay, he's doing it big. He even bragged in class one day. He was like, if you check my investment portfolio, you see 463 shares of the S&P 500. I'm like, all right, man, you doing it big. And he was like, we were in class one day and he was like, I know all of you don't like this degree program. He was like, that's a lie. I know why you're here, money. The reason you're not doing philosophy is because you like money. And I was like, okay, sir, just kill everybody's degree. Only our degree makes money. If you're gonna do something in school and spend your money, you gotta make sure you get your return on investment. I was on Twitter one day and I saw this girl said she went and got a $90-something thousand loan to be a social worker. And I was like,
yo, there are a lot of them, bro. Don't bash them, bro.
We're not bashing,
no. Come for you, bro.
We're not bashing. That's the thing. We're not bashing. We're just saying, my whole thing is in this day and age, there's a lot of statistics out there, where there's Glassdoor, where there's even the different stats that can show you what is the average income for this field.
Yeah.
And my thing is, it just doesn't make sense when you don't do the ROI. I've always treated. I got into Ivy League schools and Georgia Tech. I got into Cornell, Columbia, Georgia Tech, and I ultimately went to Georgia Tech because Georgia Tech's tuition I was international, was only 30, including rooming, was $36,000 a year. Cornell was 60. Georgia Tech was a higher ranked school. The only reason why I would go to Cornell is just the name. It's an Ivy League, right? So my thing is like, I literally straight up said, nah, like the ROI here does not make sense. The ROI doesn't make sense. Like some people will go out of state, go to a top liberal arts school, take, I don't know, $65,000 a year loan, and they're studying like, who knows, like social sciences and certain things that are not. And I'm like, nah, like it's not to, again, I'm not dogging anybody. Like, if that's what you want to do, if you look at, but you got to look at the numbers. People need to understand, like, it's a business. Higher education is a business now. Let's just call it what it is.
Big fact.
It's a business now. Like it is a absolute 1,000%. In fact, there was this new Netflix documentary that was covering the whole educational scandal, and that was the one person that said higher education has become a business, and I agreed with that because if you're not looking at the ROI on your degree versus your investment, it makes no sense. And that's why a lot of this, putting it back to the topic of discussion for this podcast, a lot of LLC Twitter, they focus on, oh, those who go to school is a waste of time. Nah, but again, there are people, software engineers making six figures, chemical engineers making six figures, tech-related jobs making six figures, and a lot of them are working. I have friends who are software engineers now in this pandemic. They work 16 hours a week. They're chilling. In fact, some of them are taking 2-3 jobs. They're chilling, and they're making over $300,000 a year, working 2-3 jobs as a software engineer, and they're chilling. On the other side, on a similar entrepreneur who's bringing in that, and keep in mind with the as an employee, you get added benefits like a 401k. Now you have three 401ks. You have health insurance covered, subsidized by your company. On the flip side, as an entrepreneur, you're paying health insurance out of pocket, which is very expensive for those who know. You don't have a 401k. And so basically, and also most times, this is also the thing, most entrepreneurs tend to work longer hours than 40 hours a week. And so you're working longer hours, you're getting less benefits, you're paying even more for health insurance, because I hope you have health insurance coverage, with the amount of stress you're taking on as an entrepreneur. And you're just making the same amount of somebody who decided to do the work, get a software engineering degree, work 2-3 jobs, and they have I'll say they have a way better balance of lifestyle. People don't understand, like, being an entrepreneur it's not fun. It's not attractive as a lot of social media wants to think. It's a lot of hard work, but the thing is, those who make it tend to make it big, because you can, exactly what you were saying, Joe, the exit strategy. You can exit for $200 million, $300 million, and you make it big. But even when we look at the stats among entrepreneurs, only the top 3, 4, 5% of entrepreneurs are the ones who make it. Most entrepreneurs fail. Most entrepreneurs fail. People start businesses and it goes nowhere, and it fails, or it plateaus, or it wins off. Like entrepreneur, the typical story of an entrepreneur is it fails. So like, it's not, people should not like rush into like, oh, this is definitely the lifestyle I want. This is, the different things. I myself, I'm an entrepreneur. I also have a 9-to-5. I don't feel like they need to compete with each other. I can do both effectively, but I can tell you for a fact that like the entrepreneurial side of my things is very stressful compared to my 9-to-5.
Yeah, so. I feel that. Just to add to what you guys said, there's this video on Twitter. I can't pronounce his name. The SPAC guy, Chamath.
Yeah.
He said he was talking at this conference, and he said, follow the money. And once you get the money, you can use the money to power your dreams or whatever. You get what I'm trying to say?
I feel that.
And on my, just to, not to sound like a hypocrite, like, because on my end, like my original goal, or even though like the chances were slim, I got a scholarship to play basketball. You know what I'm saying? But having good advice from your parents and stuff, obviously we all come from decent backgrounds. Our parents are entrepreneurs and stuff, so they understand. Like my hedge was computer science. If I was on my own, I would have gone into some like physical therapy You get what I'm trying to say?
Hey man,
So,
don't hey
Right.
before they come for you, man.
No, because I have like a lot of guys that went into like physical therapy and stuff like that. So if your stuff doesn't pan out,
It
you
pays well
should always
though.
have
It
like,
pays well.
well, my
It
bad.
depends
Like
who
I'm
you
saying it wrong. What's the one they be going into? There's one I can't remember like
I know the one you're talking about, but I can't say because a lot
you
of
know
my
what I'm
friends are
talking
doing
about,
it.
right?
I know DPTs. I know DPTs, doctors and physical therapists. They're making bread. They're making
No,
six
he's
figures.
not talking. He's not talking about physical therapy.
I'm
There's
getting the wrong
another
course,
one.
bro.
There's another
Yeah, if
one.
you play
But I can't
sports, there's
say
a
it
class
because
you usually take. You get what I'm trying to say?
there's
I'm
a lot
saying
of people that do it.
there's a slim chance of like getting to the NBA. There are only 400 players in the NBA. You get what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah,
so if you're gonna like chase your dreams, at least still hedge. You get what I'm saying? Have a hedge or something.
Yeah,
Like,
still hedge it. Yeah, have a hedge.
yeah, still hedge your bet. You know what I'm saying? So I took computer science. My senior year, I was saying best case scenario, I'll go overseas. You get what I'm trying to say? In my mind, is like, yo, I'm trying to make this bread. Let's turn this computer science into some start software development. So like you can still follow your dreams, but at the same time, make sure you hedge, like know the numbers, know like the stats, know, you know what I'm saying? Like OC has been saying, don't just go, oh, I'm gonna be the anomaly. That's like there's a lot of people in this world, bro. So
Right.
you gotta be
Right.
smart. Yeah.
and I
Right.
like the reason why he brought up that basketball thing because like according not like you know the NBA is 400 players, but
Yeah.
according to the NCAA, only 1% of athletes go on to becoming professionals. So that means
Correct.
like I like 99% of athletes in the NCAA don't become professional players,
Yeah.
which means and like we
I think it
know
was
how
something.
like
Was it 1% or 3%? I think
oh yeah
I thought
maybe
I saw 3%,
and
but
then,
no.
like
But I get
so
what you're saying.
yeah so like look at it right and from these 97 to 99% of players they're not making backup plans like
Yeah,
they're
that's the
just
problem.
going out and they're balling and like
Yeah.
what happens when if you don't become an athlete.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
the lifespan, if you make it, think about it. The lifespan is like if you're not a LeBron or like a
It's
marketable guy, it's 5 to 7 years. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So like if you play 5 to 7 years, let's say you total like certain amount, you're not like a marketable guy, you're not like a star on the team. So we're
No
making
endorsements.
you're not making like big banks. You get what I'm saying? So when it's
yeah.
done, at most you start your career at like let's say 20. At most you're done at 27. What's next? You get what I'm trying to say?
What's next?
Yeah, so like you gotta start hedging early. Like that's just my thing from like when it comes to if you want to follow your dreams, but at the same time,
Hedge.
hedge. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Hedge your
But
bets.
even at that though, it's so sad. Like just going back to LC Twitter, it's so sad. Like we within the Black community, we embrace struggle so much.
So much.
The idea of because I know a bunch of like white folks who make bread and they're chilling. Like whether it's like comes to like even starting a company and selling it, like you were referencing Joe, how like that's so frowned upon. Starting a company, sell it, or even give somebody to run it for them so they can chill, or even set up a trust fund, or they're trust fund babies and they're just living on trust funds, you know, whatever it is. Like I'm like, there are people who like that's what we should strive for. Like whatever stress-free means to make money that is legal, because I'm not saying people should be out here scamming or doing shady stuff, right? Because I that's the thing about me. I cannot deal with like all that because for me personally, I don't want to have to always look behind my shoulder. Like imagine like what's his name, Hush Puppy now had all the bread in the world, and even sometimes I look at people like Hush Puppy. I look at people like Hush Puppy. I'm like, damn, bro, you got the lick. Like you once you hit like 250 M on a why keep going? Just flip that and make that legal.
Bro,
Diversify.
It's only 10 years though. It's only 10 years in jail. It's the return the return of the investment is too good.
But this nigga is cooperating with the feds. He's done. When he comes out,
that money they could never recover that money, bro. That money's gone.
See, this man is cooperating with the feds. He's done. The streets are done with. He's done. Like say he's done. When he comes out, he's done. So my thing is, once you hit that lick, why are you still going, bro? If I do something shady and I hit 250 M, I'm good. I'm gonna make that legal. I'm gonna turn that into something that's legitimate. Like, why am I keep going? Like, so my thing is, but whatever. Anyways, going back to the topic on hand, like, make sure it's legal. But like, yeah, my goal is ultimately, I want to reach a point where I'm 40 and I just have a bunch of businesses that are self-automated and running and just bringing me income. And so I reach a certain point where I can also reach a certain goal in my portfolio where I can then like flip a bunch to like dividend yielding stocks. Yeah. That is also giving me like what I call stock market rents, cash per month or every other month. And like people just need to, I just want people to understand like this mentality, like grind, no sleep. I'm like, no, screw that, because it's a thing where I'm just like fearful because it's a thing that's being promoted so much on social media. Where of course grind, of course there'll be that in every single thing you do, there'll be that stage where you have to grind. Like I keep telling people all the time, like even like when I look back in like some milestones in my finance journey, the first is always the hardest because the first, like for instance, if I say, okay, net worth, when I first hit $100,000 in net worth, that was always my hardest compared to my second $100,000 and my third and so on, right? So your first is always your hardest. But the goal is it should get progressively easier and not progressively harder. And if you're not working towards your business automating or things being progressively easier, you're not giving yourself even the chance to innovate and think of the next big thing that you want to do or the next big idea. And, people run into this like, oh, it's this ownership. Or so ownership is a great thing. You want to own your business. But ownership doesn't mean you have to be the one doing every single thing and running every single thing. Ownership could be, hey, you know what? I started this business. I ran it. I'm going to take a step back, maybe take a role as a chairman or an executive and have someone else just run it on my behalf. But I still want majority share of it. I don't need to be the one running the day-to-day or be the ones involved in everything. Like my real estate business now, I've pretty much hands off it. Like this 2021 as of February, I don't even run operations anymore. Like I'm completely hands off now because I'm just like, hey, you know what? I need to focus on building other things. And though it's crazy, at the point in my life, I thought I would never, ever be able to like fully detach because these are my properties. These are things that I want to, these are my investments. I feel personally invested in them. I'm just like, you know what? I need to take a step back because I'm just like, yo, if I cannot give myself room to innovate and do other things, I'm doing myself a huge disservice. So I urge people, ownership can look very different. Even with startups, you don't need to be the one creating the startup. You could invest in startups.
Exactly.
And, so ownership looks different for different people. That's all I'm getting.
Yeah, just to bust off that point, like to talk on it a little bit, is like my whole frame of mind or my model is like I said, the LLC and ownership and my idea is make the bread, get the chips, so you could play at the big table. You get what I'm saying? Think about it. All the big guys, if they want to, like, they could keep running, like the guys that started PayPal, the PayPal Mafia. Like most of them, except for Elon, because that guy is crazy. They run VCs now. That's why I think it's poker table. You get what I'm saying? Those guys are playing with the chips. You get what I'm saying? Those guys are playing, getting returns on their money. Like I talk with my dad every time. Like we all have parents that run businesses in Nigeria, and that's the number one problem. Is like, how do you exit? Like exit strategies is the problem. And in the US here, you have like every avenue to exit, and people are like, "Yo, don't exit, don't do this, don't do that, keep it for us." Like you could work your physical labor or your mental labor for a certain number of years, but get the capital and play at the big boy table. You get what I'm saying? Get the chips so you can play at the big boy table. Yeah, that's the goal. That's why I think the goal that you get on play.
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%.
Oh yeah, I got a side question because I saw a Steve Harvey interview. Is it Steve Harvey? Yeah, Steve Harvey. Because it's Steve Harvey, right? He was talking to a bunch of kids, right? And he's like, "Oh, if you sleep 8 hours a day, you will never be rich." And I'm like,
Shamat sleeps 8 hours a day. He said that. He said it, and that's something I want people to understand. Shamat is a billionaire. Obviously, he's one of he's like the king of SPACs. That's what he's been tagged for 2020. And he said in an interview that one of the biggest things that keeps him going is a full 8 hours sleep, waking up in the morning, having an hour to himself to run and like just be physical or be active, and then he starts his day. Like any day he doesn't fully sleep, doesn't start his day active, he feels that he's not giving his best foot forward. And like that's the big thing, because I'm just like, dang, this thing is really infiltrated. And I really hate that people like Steve Harvey will come out and say that, because I'm just like, would there be times you grind and maybe don't have 8 hours of sleep? Possibly, definitely. If you're I'm sure with every founder, when they're IPOing, during that period, they're not sleeping much because there's a lot going on. Or when they're first raising investments, although, raising capital now has become so easier with crowdfunding,
from left and right.
Right, but although it wasn't the case in the past. In the case, it was like calls on calls to VCs and very, very difficult. But point I'm trying to make, though, is this idea that you should compromise your physical health on the road to success. I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, and for me, like I said, I had good examples and stuff. So you gotta sleep. I know how I feel like days where I get like less sleep, but there are days is needed. You get what I'm saying? You gotta grind on your way to the top. But like on just to give like more examples, like the Black community, like there was like a story like a couple years ago when Rick Ross had a seizure and stuff like that. And we remember now he's an advocate for sleep, rest, exercise. But like you remember, like the whole thing for them was stay up all night, whatever means it takes to stay up all night and get the work done. But that lifestyle is not sustainable. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So like I get it. There's a window you need it for. There's a certain window you need that kind of grind, but you don't. It's not like we should stop like romanticizing like that kind of whatever. That's not the way I think is the way.
I just feel like I'm not a doctor, so I can't really, please talk to your doctors, but like health is wealth. If I'm sleeping 4 hours a day, my brain I'm 23. My brain turns to the age of 40 when I'm 25 because I've been hustling. How will I enjoy the money I've been making? You feel me?
Right.
Like look at traders, look at basketball players. You're not telling me that LeBron James is not getting 8 hours of sleep when his body's at physical. He's working. Like, yes, I don't know how to classify his wealth because he actually works. He plays basketball to make money, but like he has to work.
Tell his diversifying. Like
he's investing in a whole bunch of stuff now. And then look at traders. Traders are not up all night, bro. Like there's a whole bunch of traders that just chart 1 day a week, 2 days a week,
and they have trading apps. They have trading apps.
They nap during the day, and I'm like, if my company or business is not going to make me passive income, like for stock, for instance, you don't have to be a day trader. You could be a passive investor, right? You can sleep and make money, make yearly returns, make dividend things. There's so many ways to make money and enjoy your peace of mind. Like, and that's just like the whole thing, not even with only sleep, right? People are like, oh, you can't go out to party. You can't, sorry, I don't do drugs, but like, you can't do drugs. You can't do all this. And I'm like, there are countless number of people out here doing these same things that you're telling me not to do, and they're living the ideal life that some people want to live, and they're doing it perfectly. And it's just crazy now because if you say otherwise, it's like, oh, you're a bum, or are you even an entrepreneur? What do you know about business? And I'm like, there are so many people doing the opposite of what you suggest. So like, what makes you better than them?
Yeah. So I feel that.
Yeah.
Basically,
I don't want us to.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, basically what we're saying is not like we're trying to bash like this. If it works for you. But we're saying there are alternatives.
There's right, and there's no template to just.
Yeah, nobody has like the answer. If everybody figured it out, we'll all be playing the same playbook. You know what I'm saying? But there are people playing with different playbooks and stuff, and they're getting it done. We're not trying to bash anybody. If you sound like we came off a little.
Hey man, I didn't say anything about your degree. I didn't say anything about your degree, please.
I'm saying it, man. Even degree.
I'm sorry.
Listen, I'm saying it. If you're not doing the ROI on your degree, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. So I'm gonna leave it at that. So I'm not gonna call out no
Once he
degree, but
said
you're
it
not
with
doing the
his chest,
ROI.
man. He said it with his chest.
You're not doing the ROI, your degree, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. But with that said, let's wrap it up. I don't want us to do like a 59 minutes
Yeah,
Right, the
episode
first
like the
one, yeah, I
last one.
feel
I think this was a good,
it's a good line.
yeah, this was a good conversation for sure. But yeah, this is finance and vibes, just good vibes, talk about whatever. And yeah, feel free to also reach out to any of us, drop like topic discussions you want to hear us talk about. And yeah, till next time.
Yes,
See you later,
sir.
everybody.
All right. Peace.